Chapter 7 to 8. Time skip. 1 year / MC's age 3.5 years. General POV. In Amon's hut, he was executing his daily set of squats. 107, 108, 109, 110 thud. Passing his 100 squats threshold, Amon had conducted another 10 squats before falling on his back exhaustedly. Huff. Being able to break your previous limit feels nice, Amon said with a small smile while catching a breath. His nerfed version of Saitama training of 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 1-kilometer run is paying off. He can feel the massive increase in strength during the last year. Amon then looked around his hut. It's nothing fancy, consisting of only a bed and some accessories for eating a meal. Amon stays alone inside the hut most of the time, however, on chilly days, Isa also sleeps with him since a hut is warmer than her small tent. Amon then searched for the jar containing water. However, even after looking out for a few seconds, he couldn't find it. Another few seconds passed, and Amon made a thinking posture by starting to scratch his cheeks, and said, "I wonder where the jar has vanished to. Maybe a cute thief had stolen it." It was clear that he was acting. His act was bound to be seen through unless the other party isn't a toddler. He then moved his eyes towards the door and pretended to smile playfully. Maybe the culprit is outside, hiding by the fence. Just as he said that, a hardly audible gulp sounded out. Amon unexpectedly sat up and quickly pointed his finger towards the door, and yelled, "Boo! Found you! Eep!" A very frail and childish voice came from the other side. Slowly and nervously, a small girl came out from the other side of the door. She has a small build, seemingly 2 years old. She also has a round face with large eyes full of curiosity, along with 2 large bangs parted to either side of her face on the front. Meeting Amon's eye, she again went to the hide. Still, she peeked from the other side without revealing herself fully. Amon smiled seeing her, his eyes forming a crescent moon, and said, "Hey, lil sis, gimme the jar. I'm thirsty." The girl had the jar with her, but she hesitated to come out. Still, after a moment of consideration and hesitation, she ran towards Amon with her small feet and placed the jar on the floor. However, she fled again after leaving the jar to Amon. Then from across the door, she mumbled, "The jar was empty, so I took it to fill it with water." Amon just ignored her and lifted up the jar up to his face. Gulp, 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 with a few immediate gulps. He finished the seemingly 2 liters of water. Ha! Amon released a pleased sigh after satisfying his thirst. Now, time to rest a little. Saying this, he fell back on his back again. Thud. He then glanced at where the little girl was in. "Hey Riki, you still there?" But she had already run away, seeing him not thirsty anymore. She believed Amon didn't hear her mumble. However, observation hockey is pretty useful in these situations. Confirming her presence no longer around using observation, Amon shook his face and his previous cheerful expression vanished in thin air. That girl, her name's Riki. She's the same girl who was on Wiper's raid team in anime. She is currently 1 year and 7 months old, and she's been living with me and Isa for 1 month now. Her parents were both raiders. They met their end 5 months ago, leaving this girl behind. Thinking this, Amon chuckled like a child. Such a pitiful child, isn't she? For that reason, Isa adopted her too. So, currently, she is living with Isa, whose maximum of the time is busy, and asked me to look after her, which I don't do most of the time. However, even if I don't want to, this girl will always be around me just like now, but with a sad background, and on top of that a child. Won't she be useful if I nurture her from this age? It's kind of wrong and sad of myself to think like that, but I don't care at this point. Amon then rubbed his eyes and got up in a sitting position. He has been training with everything he has only to prepare for Enel. However, Enel is only dangerous because of his fruit. If he can get his hands on Gorogoro no Mi before Enel, then everything will be settled. Since he only ate the fruit 6 years before canon, meaning when Amon turns 16, then he still has around 13 years to look for the fruit. So if given the chance, he would definitely try to take the Gorogoro fruit before him if given the chance. I will try to take the fruit before him, obviously. Rather, it would be dumb if I don't do that, but the world is bigger than my previous one most likely. I don't know where Enel got the fruit from. He might have gotten it in his homeland, the Sky Island Burka. But if I'm unlucky, that might not be the case. He stopped for a while to stretch his body, then continued his thoughts. I remember reading that Enel destroyed his island without any hesitation after getting his hands on Gorogoro fruit. Also, he doesn't have wings like a normal Skypiean either. For a Battle Shounen manga's antagonist, his past seems very chicha and guessable. Did he get tortured? Did someone cut his wings off? Or maybe he did it himself to make him different from the angels who protect God. Let's not forget that he knows about gold and doesn't have any attraction to the small land of Verth named Upper Yard. By connecting some dots, This situation can be like any other villain's backstory in One Piece. Enel was tortured by his people, so he escaped from the sky to the blue sea. Since he felt disgraceful towards the wing race, he cut them off himself. One day, while nurturing his resentment inside his little heart, thinking that he won't be able to get back on his torturers, he unexpectedly came across a magical fruit. He received invincibility, and finally took his revenge by destroying the whole of Burka Island. Doesn't it seem like a good backstory? Finishing his own theory, Amon used his observation haki at full power trying to see how far he can see. Damn! The current me can barely cover 1/10 of the upper yard, while Enel could cover more than the whole upper yard and Angel Island together. Even though he used his fruit to boost his mantra, a few seconds passed and he sighed. In the end, I'm wrong. I'm too wary in this life. I'm obviously making useless assumptions, since if he really visited the Blue Sea and learned about gold and other machinery down there, he should also know about rubbers, which he definitely didn't, as he asked what rubber is in his fight with Luffy. But I should better be cautious rather than regretting it later. I am considering the worst case. The possibility where Enel will definitely get the devil fruit before me and I have to fight him. Or if luck isn't on my side, I may even have to flee. Amon covered his face with a hand and mumbled. In the end, I'm just considering the worst case possible, but at least by self-hypnotizing myself like this, I can motivate myself to continue my training. With another chuckle, Amon got up from his position. It was time to take his workout to the next level. General POV. 6 months later, MC's age 4. In the north side of the Shandia hidden village, many people have spread around, training with modern weaponaries. It was clear that this place was a training ground of some sort. With giant boulders and target stones all around, it was a perfect place to train shooting. The ones training here were mostly teenagers, with old and middle-aged men as their instructors. However, like a sore thumb, a small child with a burned bazooka on his hand was standing on the side with a middle-aged instructor. Yes, you just have to press it there, the middle-aged instructor said while leaning towards Amon, the sore thumb of that place. Aye. Nodding his head cutely, he pulled the trigger of the burned bazooka. ZZZZT. With a strange sound, a laser beam similar to Kamehameha came out of it, going towards the giant boulder hundreds of meters ahead. Boom! With a large explosion, the huge target stone got completely erased from the world. Amon's mouth became agape seeing this. He was impressed with the weapon. Damn. Each time I see this, I become amazed. This thing is too powerful. There aren't even any ashes left. The instructor stayed silent. Damn, Amon. It took me 5 years to learn how to use a burned bazooka properly. Yet, you learned it in less than a year. The instructor sat down crying, while wiping his tears at the same time, as Amon gave a look at him with deadpan eyes. At first, when these types of unrealistic things occurred in front of him, he used to come up with strange theories. Did he just really act that way? Is this even real? Maybe I'm actually in a coma and my mind is showing me this bullshit like reincarnation. How can actual people behave like this? However, he has already become too used to these things to act like before. Currently, Amon just finished his training on burned bazooka. All the other weapons are already mastered by him. Ignoring the instructor, Amon started to think. I've been training on these only for a year now, yet I already have mastered most of them. Honestly, it's not hard with my modern knowledge. Besides, since at one point I wanted to become a police officer, I used to love watching the firearms experiment videos on YouTube. I can't say for sure if it's fortunate or unfortunate that this world doesn't have internet. Amon thought as he prepared to return to his house. However, suddenly, he sensed 2 people coming towards him from behind, especially one of them rushing towards him fast. He had already prepared an attack the moment he sensed it. So, you also got a hand for the burned bazooka too? Sigh. It's just the new chieftain. And that girl Riki. Confirming the presence, Amon sighed. Of course, Big Brother is the best after all, the 2-year-old Riki said as she jumped on his embrace. Catching her with a smile on his face, Amon then patted her head. He then looked back at the chief while thinking, after the previous bastard's death, this guy was chosen as the new one. Him being the chief, his attire is the same as the previous one. So I sometimes want to attack him out of spite. After the previous chief, who died of old age as a tribe founded around a complete inheritance system, his son was chosen as the new chief. Seeing the chief, Amon strayed to his thoughts. Though he is the son of the previous chief, I don't really hate him. One of the reasons being he is the same chief from anime, in other words, me being sure that he's an easygoing, soft-hearted guy. Easy to manipulate and easy to kill if needed. He is also Isa's father. Thinking this, Amon pretended to act proud and said, Grandpa Chief, I already said these firearms, they are too easy, he said with a proud grin. However, he then frowned. But, you said you'll show me dials when I have mastery over these. Didn't you? So when will you do it? The chief smiled kindly hearing him. Giving someone a nice nickname will always grant you a special place for them. Moreover, with his grumpy and naive facade, it's even more easier to get close to others, especially old people like the chief. The chief made a thinking expression and then stroked Amon's head. Kids your age aren't usually that interested in the dials and mostly care about the flashy weapons. Most dials are not for combat after all. But the main reason as to why I didn't let you learn using dials, it's because of the few deadly ones like the impact and reject dials. He said the last line with seriousness. However, he laughed heartily. Ha ha ha. Now, don't give me that grumpy look. Since you are asking me for a while now, I'll show you the dials. If it's you, I'm sure you won't do anything foolish with them and hurt yourself in the process. The chief then stroked his head again. Amon acted grumpy by trying to struggle and remove his hands from his head. The chef then started to look around, seemingly searching for someone. He frowned and looked back at Amon. Ah, wait a second. It will take a few minutes for me to find Warashi. He will take you to Bob's place. Bob is the same guy who came to call ISA when the previous chief died. Later Amon found out he is the only guy in the tribe who can create dials, and also holds the most knowledge of them. He has met him several times before and even asked him some questions about dials, which he even answered. It was pretty easy to get close to him since he has a crush on ISA, such a simp lord. He revealed confidential information that might hurt a child. I like easy-to-use people like him. Yet, without the chief's permission, he didn't tell me about most of the dials. So, I only have above the basic knowledge. Sigh. Amon released a hearty sigh. It would have been nice if I could train my body while researching the other things at the same time, like the shadowy low technique. Unfortunately, there is no shortcut for me. I need to master multiple things at the same time to not fall behind. I'm already 4 yet I'm so weak. I remember reading that Odin was able to crush bears with giant boulders at this age, where I can hardly pick up a large boulder, let alone throw them. Damn, I'm too weak. Amon then shook his head. Suddenly, he felt a nudge on his clothes. Hey, big bro, why are you shaking your head? Did Riki do something bad? Riki, who was in his embrace, asked. That's not it. I'm very excited to learn about dials, so I'm just trying to keep calm, you see. After all, how can Riki do anything bad? Riki always does things as Big Brother says, right? That's what you should do, after all. Amon said. Hearing him, she nodded and said, Big Brother is always right. So, Riki will do things as you say. You have mantra after all. Instead of answering her, Amon just rubbed his cheeks against hers. Even though he was acting all gullible on the outside, he was having a satisfactory laugh inside. Ah, isn't this awesome? She isn't scared of me like before. I feel so good. Amon seemed very happy after making a new friend, but his thoughts took a turn the next second. In another few years, and she'll be a perfect girl. Someone who will move according to my thoughts, taking her own life if needed to. Amon kissed Riki's head thinking this. Amon decided to not think that anymore. Anyway, I updated my rip-off Saitama training. Now it's, in a sense, better than the original training, consisting of 200 push-ups, 200 squats, 200 sit-ups, and finally 3 kilometers run. Still, Amon knew that even though working out his body is good, actual battle is more effective. Battle experience is very important in this world. For that reason, he picks fights with everyone. Kids, adults, raiders, everyone. But the grown-up tribesmen just stroke his head and ignore him. Such sad. However, kids are easy. So I have sparred with all of them in the tribe. The top punching bag being Wiper. I fought him numerous times, but he is weak. I have fought some teenagers, but they are also easily defeated. I only fought the adults who gave in from constant irritation. Although defeating them was a bit hard as 2 years old back then, now I can easily beat them, but the only adults I fought are civilians. The raiders are still left. Raiders are the ones who go to raids. Raid is what the Shandians like to call their surprise attacks on pirates, who arrive at Skypea. Such cheap tricks. Can't say I hate it. At least this is providing good food. Anyway, they are the strongest people in the tribe, while Viper is the strongest among them. Amon's observation again sensed people coming towards him. As he looked back, oh, it seems the chief has found who he was looking for. Here Amon, you know him right? His name is Warashi. He will take you to Bob. The chief pointed at the teenager beside him. Warashi, like I said, take Amon to Bob and tell him to explain all the dials to him, with the dangers included of course. Also say that I'm the one to send him. The chief explained to the teenagers behind him. Warashi is a tall, broad, and pale teenager with unkempt blonde hair that goes till his shoulders. Amon obviously knows him from the manga. He even fought him 68 times, winning all of them, of course. Seeing the teen, Amon thought, so Warashi will take me to Bob. Huh. He has an idiotically serious face. Amon then put Riki down from his embrace. Anyway, Riki, be a good girl and don't cause problems. Big brother will be going now. Saying this, he looked at Warashi. Warashi made an irritated face seeing him, while he just smiled sweetly in response. He must hate me for all the times I broke his bones. Heh, that hate will turn into loyalty soon enough. Though he was irritated, he still complied with Chief's order, and soon enough, Amon arrived at Bob the Builder's place.